Welcome everyone to this episode of Salon Confidential, and I'm very excited who is in my chair today. It is the fabulous, the super talented, the hair hero to the stars. It is my boss and my friend, Mr. Larry King. Larry, we are filming, so you need to stop reading about yourself.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
How are you, my
I find
darling?
myself a bit fascinating.
Fascinating reading about yourself.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah,
How
I'm all
are
good.
you?
Yeah, I'm all good.
I'm
glad-
excited
really-
to have you on.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here.
That's very nice of you on the
We have a
Monday
good
on your day
friendship.
off. Yes, very true. So what I do with all my guests, my first question is always basically, who is your hair icon? Like meaning, you look at someone and you go like, oh my God, that is great hair. Who would that be for you?
Hair icon. God, I think for men, it would be probably Brad Pitt.
Right. Why?
I just think he's got good hair, a good style. He's always had multiple different looks all through his career with his hair. And I think he's always had good hair. So, he's the one person where I've never actually managed to get to do.
Oh.
So putting it out there
Need
now,
to work
maybe
on that,
fingers crossed off this.
everybody.
Yeah, I might get Brad Pitt off the back of this.
Here I am.
Hi, Brad.
Hello, Brad.
Give me a call.
You will listen and watch this, of course.
And I think for women, ladies, I'd always liked hair icon. I'd like to have done Miley Cyrus.
Right. Iconic.
Again, I think she's iconic. She's, I don't know. I just think she's a fantastic singer. I liked Miley Cyrus. I'm a bit of a fan. I suppose I haven't got like a real massive icon. I suppose if you went back in the day, I like a lot of the 80s. So a lot of 80s singers and stuff like that. Julia Roberts in the 80s I thought was amazing.
Do you know the most of the guests, everyone actually mentioned the 80s, like mainly icons from the 80s, which I find fascinating.
Probably majority of the people that I would thought that you're having on are all around our age group. I think before the 80s, like TVs was like black and white. So all of a sudden in the 80s, there was an explosion of video games, films, movies, MTV. All of these things exploded in the 80s. So there was all these creative ideas flowing. So that was all what we was brought up to, was just all this abundance of like ideas. And I think that's why it resonates so much for us in the 80s. And now they're actually even remaking 80s movies or making new ones coming. Because it was just that whole era was just abundance, wasn't it?
It was also like a revolution of hair, wasn't it? It was like kind of a lot of punk and a lot of like...
You had everything.
Big
New Romantics.
All of that.
Do you know what I mean? You had the whole lot. It was like... The technology in the 80s just advanced. You had computers... TVs all of a sudden advanced dramatically, and it's continued from then. But back then, like we said, MTV, New Romantics, bands, movies, everything was just being flooded into us with just ideas and creativity. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's why so many of us all revert to
Bring that
80s
back,
for
talk about
ideas, talk about it, and get inspiration from it. Do you know what I
do
mean?
you still get inspired as well by the 80s now when you do shoots or haircuts?
Shows, shoots, haircuts. I refer to so many different haircuts
Same.
for movies. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'll pull up a movie or a movie icon from then.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And be like, oh, this Brad Pitt in Fight Club, or you can go earlier like Johnny Depp back in the day, or Julia Roberts from Pretty Woman, and
The curves
it's
and
just
all of that,
it's just
100%.
all her hair pearled up on top when she's got the dress on, and
And they do
like
it now
all
again.
curls.
I mean, that's the point. They bring it all back, and it helps us
Massively.
all to kind of bring that all back. And what would be your worst experience you ever had with hair? Like, what would be like the moment you kind of maybe struggled a little bit on a shoot or with your...
I think I've had a couple. I remember early on, I done a haircut. It's probably stuck to me because it's probably one of the only people I ever made cry, or at least the only one I ever knew.
You made a person cry?
Yeah, I did actually make a person cry. Back in the day, when I first started, I've been qualified about 2 years, and I was cutting his clients' hair regularly, and often that leaving a bit of hair coming so you can visually see it in the mirror from front to back removes a bit of shape around the face. Do you know what I mean? And if you take it away, it exposes more of your shape around your face. And just for this one time, I took it completely away, which meant it didn't soften her in the right way. And these little things you learn when you're starting off. Do you know what I mean?
And she cried then.
And she cried because she felt that it made it, it didn't flatten, the haircut wasn't flattering. But I think you learn these little aspects. That's why you learn to then take it slower and adapt. And that's when you're doing your finishing and stuff like that.
Do you think that when you started doing shoots, we get to that in a moment, do you think that, because for me it's definitely that I experience different visions now because when you do a shoot or you're on a shoot, it's not about, I remember I did this one shoot in Germany and I did a whole head of hair, and the editor came over and she said, "What are you doing? We don't have time for this. And you only can see the front while you're doing the back." So it's about experiences, obviously, and the vision of the picture.
I think from doing shows, shoots, and fashion, you have to realise that you have to be super quick. You have to change things quickly.
Yeah.
If a photographer doesn't like it, it's got to be an instant change. Yes, you don't have to worry about the back. It's what it looks like in the camera.
Exactly.
But then when you go into flip it to a red carpet, it's got to look like
That's different.
Fantastic all round, the same as shows. So I think you're adapting it to different circumstances massively.
Yeah.
And I think listening, speaking to the creatives first is the crucialness.
Yeah.
I've turned up on multiple different shoots all through my career, and I've been told, we really love the hair, we don't really need to do much to it. And I've been told multiple times that I then haven't done anything to it, and they're like, "Oh, the hair looks amazing, it's incredible." But they've had previous people that have gone in, and when people have been told, "Don't touch it, it looks amazing," they've turned around and turned back, and the hairdressers, because they feel you, as a hairdresser, you feel like you have to do something to earn your money or your keep. So all of a sudden, someone's running through with the straighteners or curling it with some tongs or doing something, and then they're like, "We just said to you, the hair looks great. You don't really need to do anything. Just put a little bit of product for it."
But
and
you
then all of a
feel
sudden, you've got to have that confidence to stand there and go, "Do you know what? The hair does look great. I'm going to put a little bit of product for it." And then, bosh, it's done.
But it's about confidence. Do you not think so? It's about confidence to also then know that it's actually good. Do you still get nervous when you do shoots or shows?
No, I don't really.
Not at all.
No, I don't get it. I go into a bit of a zone. No, I do.
Come on, there must be a little bit of some nerves going.
I think if it's a really big look, if it's a really big, change, and we, as the team but I've got so much belief in everybody, all my team that work with me, you guys, everybody who's supporting me. We've all worked together so much, so we've got 24 girls to do. I know all my team because they all work with me in, day out in the salon. So they all... I don't. That's why I never really get stressful backstage and everyone's having a laugh because we all know each other. We know how each other works. So I don't really get that stressed. The bit would probably get me stressed is if we was to start doing something and maybe the stylist would come in and change it all at the last minute.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a drama then.
But you still have to then go in, and I go into like a zone and leave the carnage out on the outside and just focus and get it done. So, and I think when you've got your team and everyone around you, then it makes it seamless.
Yeah, definitely. And what would be your hair hack? Is there anything which you would say that is your hair hack? Like something it always works, or something with your own hair, or like specific product, or what would that be?
I think one of my specific products is definitely mousse. I love mousse. It adds texture. I apply it to pretty much 90% of the work that I do because it gives you really nice hold. So, I created my mousse so it's soft and it's malleable. Nana's mousse. So it gives you a nice hold, but it also means you can manipulate the hair and
it doesn't make
achieve
it too crisp.
It doesn't make it too crisp. You can get great big volume in it. You can blow dry it out. It's clean. So I think products like that are like, for me, help. Hacks wise, I always do like a little bit of a twizzle like this. Which
we like a little twizzle.
Which kind of when you're doing the front and you twizzle, people twizzles, it basically joins the hair. It ruffles the cuticle a touch, so the hair sticks together and it holds it in place. I think even if you're doing your own hair and you kind of do this like that, look, there it goes.
We all do that.
And
look
you
at
can
you,
kind of
much
like
better
this.
now.
And like little bits are sticking out just like that by doing that.
Yeah.
So I think it's like, I often say that it's like crushing salt or pepper over your dinner. So if you do that to your hair in little areas, that's a hack.
But I also do that with clients, like when you do like even the perfect blow dry, or when you're on a shoot and you kind of just make, like, you touch the hair just a tiny bit to pull something out. It makes a huge difference.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. That's the hack on everyone, I would say.
So let's talk about your career, because obviously people know you as where you are, what you do now, and you've got 3 salons and you're very successful. But what I would like to know, how and why did you start hairdressing?
My inspiration was actually not to do hairdressing. I was doing film studies, which is at college. Wasn't doing very well.
I didn't know that. I thought I know everything about you, and I don't.
No, I was doing film studies. I used to watch films in abundance, just going back to the 80s, but I would watch films and films and films, and I still watch films and films and films.
Yeah.
To the point where there was a guy called Barry Norman who was like a TV film critic guy.
Right.
And then my family used to call me Larry Norman because I'd just be sitting there. Larry Norman, because I'd just sit and watch movies all the time. So I was doing film studies, wasn't really doing very well at college. And my mum said, you need to get out and learn a trade. And she was a hairdresser. And she got me said, look, I can get you a job at Tony Guy in Cambridge.
Right.
And initially was like, no, it's just, we just all girls. And she was like, no, you'll have fun. And she approached, funny enough, Steve, who obviously now works for us.
Marylebone,
and works in Marylebone. But back in the day, I was 17, and she approached Steve, who was a friend of ours, and he got me a job at Tony Guy in Cambridge. And the moment I got in there, I loved it. I thought it's...
So you knew. So it's quite fascinating that you didn't want to do it. And then when you started, you knew that was for you.
Yeah, I loved it. I loved every single bit of it. And then my Larry Norman from films got changed and went to hairdressing. And I worked at Tony and Guy, and I was so fascinated with hair so much, they used to call me Larry and Guy, or Tony and Larry, in the salon, because I was obsessed with Tony and Guy.
Why do I not get another name? I didn't get any other name. I mean, it was always Andreas Wild. Now I'm jealous.
I was totally obsessed. They even got me a T-shirt, and I've got it at home, and it's got Tony and Larry written on it, and it's me in a leopard print shirt, and I've still got it.
You should have worn that. I would have loved that. How sexy
I don't know,
would that have
up
been?
in my loft somewhere. But
opened up to
yeah,
down there.
Tony and
Thank
Larry,
you.
and it's a picture of me as a real 17-year-old with a leopard print shirt on. I was going flamboyant then.
Oh my God. So then you started your apprenticeship, and then you moved on. What happened next? What did you do after?
I was there for 4 years, and then I moved to Tony and Guy in London, transferred over to Tony and Guy in London. And then I just kind of worked in salons and just, I worked at Tony and Guy. I worked at a few other salons in London. Lee Stafford and a few others, and then I kind of was just kind of plodding along, really. I wasn't really getting involved in anything. I was just...
Because you started also with grooming more, right? When you started doing shoots.
No, I kind of met my wife, who runs a business, Laura, with me, and we was, again, just loving life and enjoying ourselves. We had a little flat and stuff like that. And then we had our first child, Elsie, and kind of about 3 to 4 years after Elsie was born, I never used to go out a lot. Honestly.
You never used to go out?
I never used to go out.
That changed a little bit now.
Yeah, that changed a hell of a lot. But I never used to go out. So I was always, literally, we had an allotment.
Right.
So we had an allotment when I was like 28. So my life was like, I almost done my 20s, should have been my 30s to 40s, and my 30s and 40s ended up being my 20s.
Right.
I kind of really done it like around the wrong way.
Yeah.
Anyway, around about the 30, when about 30, 31, I started going out a bit more. And
well, I heard you went to Chiltern Firehouse every night, right?
No, I went to Mahiki. Not every night. But I went to
got that one wrong.
Twice a week. Select Model Agency asked me to cut a lot of their guys, big male models, which is where I met David Gandy, and I started cutting his hair back in the day when they was very... So that's where the grooming side kind of came about, was because Select had the cream of the crop when it come to the best male models in the world. And and Tandy, who owned Select, she would only ever let me cut their hair. So basically, I would cut all of the best male models in the world's hair, and then some of them became so big that they could then request me to go on their shoots.
Yeah.
And that's when that started to snowball a bit more, and I started getting other people ask me, and I become very well known as this big grooming male hairdresser. I was at Hirschison's at this time. I was going down Mahiki. I was also meeting celebrities at Mahiki because my friend used to run Mahiki, so I'd be on this cool table. I'd be on the top table. It was kind of a vibe, and I'd go out on a night out and meet people, and I'd say to them, "Oh, you got to let me cut your hair," and here's my number. And the next thing you know, I'd get this phone call like the following day or the 2 days after. Oh, you said you cut my hair, yeah? And I really just like went from doing like 4 clients a day to all of a sudden I was like just fully booked.
Yeah.
In London, you put yourself out there and you get involved in the scene and stuff like that. And I just become fully booked, and people would love to hear the stories of me going out and what happened and so forth.
Huh?
Yeah, we've got some stories. I've got some mega stories.
We don't have time for that.
Yeah. but it did. It just
We'll be
it
here
snowballed.
for 2 weeks.
Yeah,
That is
yeah.
still not finished.
Yeah.
Because you talk as much as me, or maybe even more.
we've-
I'll never forget Laura, beautiful wife of Larry's, is in the room with us. And I remember we were at the after party at someone's house, and I said, "Who was your favorite celebrity you ever did a hair for?" And Laura went, "Here we go." And I remember you stood up. We were all sitting on the couch, like your audience at Graham Norton, and then you started. And every time someone tried to say something, and you're like, "Listen, guys, we are not done here yet." And Laura was like, "I told you so, like, this is it." And it went on, and I couldn't stop laughing. I still remember that it was
can
so
go on for weeks.
funny.
This could be the longest podcast in history.
It's like we could make a Netflix series out of that.
Some of these stories, wow.
Saying what you just said as well, it's about getting out there, and I always say that to assistants or people, you have to promote yourself and be confident and all of that.
You have to go out and promote yourself.
Because I remember I was
You've got to be prepared to do stuff for free.
Exactly,
If
that's
you
what
want
I
to get
did.
to the top level, you just got to
That's what I did.
Yeah.
But sometimes they don't understand, like that you have to kind of, to get out there to promote yourself, you have to do sometimes things for free. And all of
you
that.
have to go stick your neck out left, front and centre.
As I remember I went to the Serpentine party once, and one of my favorite models was always Natalia Vodinova, the beautiful Russian girl.
Yeah.
And I saw her there, and I went straight over to her, and I said, "I am a hairdresser, and I would love to do her hair." And she just moved here. And I remember I said it so many times, and even when she left, I still went up to her and I said, "I'm Andreas." And she said, "I know you are Andreas, you work for John Frieda and you are German." And I went, "Oh, maybe I need to stop going on about." No, but then I got a call as well, and I started to do her hair.
And there you
so
go.
it does work. So it's
It massively works.
Yeah.
It hugely works.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's been the key to all of my career is just doing that and going
But
out.
it's
And
still
that's hence is social life for your hair.
yeah, exactly.
That is where the name
name
of
came from.
come from that runs through our whole business is that.
But I think it's also like that you're still so in it, because a lot of times, when, especially now, you've got 3 salons. You are so incredibly busy that I think now you still, I think even more so than ever now. I mean, you do so many models and shoots and mega celebrities now. So you are never really in London. So that, do you think that developed more and more, or?
I think you just have to keep. I just have to keep going, because it's like I have got that little bit of a. If you take the foot off the gas,
Yeah.
So I'm not going to lie. I don't know if that's healthy, but at the same means as healthy. But I have got that where I just want to just keep going. I think the awareness for the business, the salons, the staff, everything drives this, and I think the more I can get through the business and everyone to also be involved and do it is crucial for me. I mean, if I can't do these people's hair, then at least I do them enough so that they trust my opinion and they trust my recommendation, so that if I can't, my staff can pick up where I can't, and they will, and that does happen now.
So I also, obviously, you have an incredible team with you. I mean, I wouldn't say maybe it's lucky that obviously Laura, your wife, is involved in the business as well. I mean, she could maybe do something completely different, and it wouldn't be the same, right? Because it's obviously a big help.
I think it's
Be careful now, Laura's here.
Yeah, I think it's purely a teamwork. It's always been a teamwork. You know, the actual business itself didn't stem from doing the men's hairstyling. It was like I had all of that grooming and shoots going on one side, and Laura was designing and doing branding work for other companies on this side. And then, you know, we used to talk about it. And one Christmas, we was like, we need to just come together and just start doing this together. And that's when, like, we created a blog called Social Life for Your Hair. Laura created a website for me where I could put all my work on, and this blog about all these funny things. And I take funny photos on set and do all these funny things. And then the whole, slowly but surely, that kicked off even more. Do you know what I mean? People liked, I always say that when you're on shoots and shows and fashion shows and all this, a hairdresser is like the court jester. It's like he's the funny person that keeps the whole thing gelled. He keeps the model upbeat, because often while you're on a shoot, there's loads of light changes and so on and so forth. So you got to keep the energy up as a hairdresser. So I would do this and take funny pictures and funny jokes and mess about on set. And then Laura would then make sure that all of these things would be filtered through into the blogs and designing. And then all of a sudden, I had one of my investors come along, or a good friend called Mark Shanker, and he was, you need to open a salon and so on and so forth. And, you know, Laura set out to build the business plan and create the business plan, her whole thing on branding and how companies should look and how it should, you know, that from the logo to everything. Everything that you see that's not really hairy is Laura. So it's a real teamwork to get it to where it is. But we're also crucial that we've got two little girls that are a bit older now, and we're a family, and we love and care for people.
Yeah. And
So-
they come in now as well, obviously. They come into the salon and they
One works in the salon now.
and all of that.
Yeah, one works in the salon now. The other one doesn't particularly like going to salon.
To get a hair done.
But that's about it. But I think, you know, that family and that caring for the staff has now made it why it's grown from, you know, 1 to 3 and 8 years. Is because
But you always say that, I mean, I've been with you like for 6 years now, and I always remember, I mean, obviously when I started, it was a much smaller team, you know, like you had, did you plan to create an empire?
No, we definitely didn't plan to create an empire. Me and Laura are still very conscious that we have to, as much as we can, try to keep it feeling the same as when it did when we first started.
And do you feel like it still feels like
And
this?
I think as much as the salons do feel slightly different in different ones, they are still a family. Me and Laura trying to try and bring them all together as much as we could and keep everyone talking through different channels and just keep the atmosphere the same for the clients as well.
Yeah.
Which means it's basically we're all caring for each other and all supporting each other.
Yeah, which
and
is
I
true.
think is what the ethos behind the brand is.
But also you also let people grow, you know, like I think if people want to come on a shoot, or you trust people, you trust your team also to go out there and do famous people's hair if you can't do it and all of that. But it's a lot. I feel like with hairdressing, we both met a lot of hairdressers in our life or careers, right? And I met a few who are the only they think they're the only ones who can do hair, you know. I remember I met this one guy who was talking about he does that and that, and he was talking about, I do Claudia Schiffer's hair, but I actually did Claudia Schiffer's hair at that point, and I was just looking at him and I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? So it's a lot that hairdressers are so self-obsessed with them sometimes.
They really are. But I think it's like, you know, letting everyone have a moment, and you know, not trying to hog the limelight, not making it all about you. It should be about the team. It should be about the company. You come from John Frieda, and I think he's done that he's opened other salons with his staff members and so on and so forth. I completely think that's amazing, and that's a big inspiration for me. Is not for me to just try and grasp it all for me. It has to be about my team so that they all grow. And they do move forward,
which is so important. But
and I think there is, like
you
said, it is people do try to fight that, and hairdressers are like a bit thievery. So
obviously
I think,
not us.
And and I think it's you try not to. You know, I don't want to be like that. I want it to be like everyone has their opportunity.
And also, like, I mean, just talking about assistants, I think now it's such a big change now with the government and what's going on at the moment in the UK.
Yeah.
And so I think I just read that there used to be like around 16,000 new apprentices going into apprenticeship, and now that's gone down to 5,000 or even less.
Yes.
Right. So obviously working with you, we've got over 20 assistants now in the salon. You changed the training now on a Monday, where specific colleagues do the training now, not me anymore, because I think I confused them a little bit too much when I taught them, so I'm out, which is fine. But how is that for you now? Because obviously also everything is just so much more expensive now, and we are one of the only salons who got so many apprentices, and you take that very serious. How is that for you?
I think Lichtenstein, they're the future of hairdressing. You know, I've said this in abundance. Hairdresser assistants are dropping really quickly.
Why is that? Well, why do you think that is?
You know, you can go to college and learn to be a hairdresser and qualify by the time you're 18. But to work in top London salons and be around it's not as easy as that. So it does take you till you're about 21.
Yeah.
So I think minimum wage or the national living wage then kicks in. So it's very costly to have people doing that. So a lot of salons are struggling to fund assistants at this age group. For me, I think obviously there's other costs that are running in the salons as well that come into effect. But at the same instance, if you don't have assistants and there's no future, well, there's going to be more clients to go around just the staff that are hairdressers, because you won't get, you know, hairdressers can either become self-taught at home, which means the highest level ones are going to be able to charge extreme amounts of money.
Yeah.
It will almost become a bit like, will become more niche. Do you know what I mean? Because as people retire and there's less people going into the industry, the hairdressers will start to smaller down. The industry will smaller and shrink and shrink and shrink and shrink. Do you know what I mean? So it's crucial to look after these assistants, and so I think the government needs to look at it as a bigger picture and see the costs that are running through salons, such as, and also there's other things like, you know, VAT. We can't, you know, our industry can't save on VAT. We can't. Others like restaurants and bars, they could offset their VAT on a lot of their expenditure when it comes to food or beverages or other grinding costs. You know, everything is tangible, what we do from just our hands. So there's no offset of VAT. So it's a full 20% of the service goes straight to the VAT man. So we are a very costly industry for that. So there's a lot of costs, and this is the things that are putting a lot of weight on the hairdressing industry or the beauty industry. So there needs to be more relief. But for me, it's also still crucial that we need to factor in these assistants and keep them running, because they do help keep the service high.
Oh my God, they're such a big part of the team.
Part of the team. They keep the energy right.
Yeah.
You know, equally you need to inspire them as well, I think, as much as you can.
Yeah.
Before, like I said, when we was maybe growing up, we would see it in magazines and say, oh, that's an inspiration, because you'd see a shoot in a magazine. They maybe don't see that now because they've got videos from TikTok being thrown out on left, right and centre, and all these different things on Instagram and so on and so forth. So there's not as much inspiration. So you need to inspire them from within the industry,
which I think
business,
we do.
Which is what we try to do, to encourage them to really love the industry and love what we do.
But also they have such great opportunities working with you guys, because obviously, you know, they go to Paris, we do haute couture shows.
Yeah, and that's the bit, that's
so
the nurturing.
They get involved and they get so excited about all of that.
But that's the nurturing of them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And
that's I really, I'm not just saying that because you are my guest today and I don't want to flatter you, but is that I really admire that with this company, because I think the nurturing or like looking after the assistants, I think it's so important, and I think you really get that. The whole team gets that, because it is so. Because a lot of times with assistants, it's like people just see them and they're there and they just kind of like, oh, they do that and that. But I think looking after them, it's so, because they are the future of hairdressing.
They are the future of the beauty industry, and you know, there has to be some form of change, massive change, to, re-engage this and move it forward 100%.
Yeah. So maybe you should
and we
go
do
then
try
up to
that.
number 10 or something and change it.
Well, Nicola Clark, when
Yeah,
friend of yours, she
just
went the other
went,
day. I thought that was tremendous.
Yeah.
There is as much push. It's unfortunate for us because we are. I think for some reason, I don't know why, but the government tends to overlook us as 1 minute we're in the category of retail, then we're not. We haven't almost got our own category. I think we kind of are slowly getting there now, but because of this, we're overlooked on certain things and put into a pocket where we're not one part and we're not one other. But we also do, hold up the high street.
Yeah.
Every little high street in the town has got
do you
hairdressers and barber
stressed
shops.
about it? Like, do you feel sometimes about like
Yeah, I do massively
nervous about it?
Yeah,
Because it's a lot of more. That's what I meant earlier on as well. Having 3 salons now, there must be like a different feeling of responsibility because you got obviously.
I've got the responsibility of me and my wife have got the responsibility of 80 people that work for us. Some of these, majority of these people
How do
have
you
got
do that?
houses
I mean,
and
I
flats.
couldn't even look after one person. I would be like, that's why everyone always says, why do you not have your own salon? And first of all, I think I'm too lazy for it, and I just don't want to have all that stress because I could not do it. I know I couldn't do it. That's why I'm doing this now, because I can talk. But it's true, because I would not want that responsibility of having a team, and because you are the provider, basically. I mean, you pay people's mortgage.
But they
and-
provide as well, so it's we as much as we provide, they provide as well. So it's all all round. And when it comes to the government and what's going on and so on and so forth, I'm really trying to be as transparent to my staff as I possibly can, and really keep them engaged in all of that side of it as well, because then they understand the workings of a salon.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So that if there is these little changes that we do have to make, we all do make it as one, and we understand that we make it as one, and it carries it on, and it moves it on, and it keeps evolving.
What would you tell our Prime Minister if you would be invited, or how to change it, or what needs to happen?
I don't know if I can say that on this podcast.
You can say whatever you want, darling. Please do.
I mean, honestly, I think you just need to. Small businesses in this country are the thing that is going to just move it forward more. So it's rather than, killing some of the small businesses, they need to support them so they can grow, so they can employ more people, so they can give right pay rises, and there can be growth. And yes, we are trying to grow. Do you know what I mean? 100%. But there is also more hurdles that keep throwing us in our direction. Do you know what I mean?
Are there more salons coming? Come on, give me some exclusives.
I think purely if we do open salons, there'll be franchise with our current staff members. The idea is that.
So I just messed it up after I said I'm too lazy. I'm never gonna have a salon with Larry King now.
Do you know what I mean?
Forget about that German
No,
one.
I think
too lazy.
It's about John Frieda done it. It's about that. It's about I don't want hairdressers to get to the highest level of running columns and then be like, where do I go now? I want to be able to go, well, do you know what? If you want to open a partnership with one of us, let's do it. You know what I mean? And let's go at it. So for me, I won't go open franchises with anyone. It will be people that are within the company that understand how we all work.
Yeah.
So it has that feeling and it grows. And that is mine and Laura's goal now, is to do this next step.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? But please, stop throwing hurdles so that we can do this, and then it does make it more successful. And this will go across the board for all small salons and small businesses.
But it's also like with one more time about assistants. What I love as well, that most of them, when they qualify, that they are getting a job here. So you train them up. And
Listen, we've trained assistants. I never train the assistants. Just to train them and then they go to another salon. We've qualified 14 to 15 people since we've been open. We purely opened Marylebone. The main reason I've opened Marylebone was because we had run out of space to bring new qualified assistants into the salons. I feel very fortunate, and team, don't anyone quit now, but I haven't lost a member of staff in a stylist or a colorist in nearly 2 years now, which is amazing for hair salons.
Yeah.
and that's because I
That
care for him.
speaks for you.
And that's
But
because
I'm
me
really
and
flattering him today. huh?
No, but
It's
that's what
No,
me
but
and
it's true. It's true. I wouldn't say it. I mean, you know me well enough.
know,
I wouldn't just sit there
and
Can I have a
that's
pay rise while we are? Can I have a pay rise, please, while we are doing this? We talk about it's on camera now. Did you say yes? Did you say yes? What happened? More holidays? No. Okay, let's.
But you give these people so that they don't leave, but then you haven't got the space for the assistants to qualify.
Yeah.
So you need to grow a space so that there is space for these people
Yeah.
to qualify. So that's why we did do Marylebone, so we can bring through more assistants.
But you also brought them up, so and you invested in them. So, but let's go back to. I need to know about the shoots again, like one more time. About what was your funniest experience? I mean, you obviously. You do David Gandy's hair and he is also one of your best friends now. That is another thing which I find quite fascinating with hairdressers, that we do become friends sometimes with incredible people we get to work with, because obviously we are. What is the funniest one?
I've got an abundance of friends that I've. I went on to shoot with David. Went to San Francisco, and I landed just before David, got picked up in a car and taken to my hotel. They gave me the key to my room, and I went up to my room thinking that I'd given them my passport. What I didn't know is, luckily enough, the car then went back to pick David up, the same car, and David's opened the boot up and said, "Oh, there's a passport in your boot," to the driver, and opened it up, realising it's mine. So he's like, I'm going to keep this now, wind this up. So, following day, David's like, "You found your passport yet?" And I'm like, no.
I'm staying in San Francisco now.
He's like, no. He's like, you do realise that if you don't find your passport, probably the British Embassy is in LA, so you're going to have to travel by bus to from San Francisco to LA. It's going to take you like 10 hours. And you're going to have to probably pay for another flight home, because M&S are not going to pay for your flight home, another flight. But at this point, I've myself. I'm like, oh my.
It took you like a day.
It took me a
to
day.
start shit yourself.
Yeah.
That's quite interesting.
So now I'm really, really stressing. So I get on the phone to the British Embassy.
Oh my God, he let you actually go that
So
far.
I've gone that far. I'm on the phone to the British Embassy, and as I'm on the phone, he's going, "Larry, there's something wrong with the hair. There's something wrong with the hair. Have a look at the monitor. Have a look at the monitor. You need to look at the monitor." I'm on the phone to the embassy. Can you just leave me alone? It's like, "No, you need to look now. Look, you need to look. It's really not good." So I've gone over on the phone to the embassy, like, "So what's fucking wrong? It's just hair. Lost my passport." So I've gone over, looked up at the monitor, and there's David's picture of him holding my passport on the monitor. And I'm like, it was just, honestly, it was like.
But that's why I encourage, I always tell men when I talk to assistants or younger stylists, I'm like, you have to do something like that, which kind of like makes you break out of what you do in the salon, because it is so much fun.
Yeah,
I love
listen,
also,
I went to Mick Jagger's 70th in a white blazer, which I didn't know I was going to go to. Turned up and I was the only guy. It was just immediate family of like 45, 50 people.
Why did you get invited to that?
I just had a client, and he was a client of mine. He still comes to the salon now. He was really close to Loren Scott.
Right, yeah.
And he was one of our closest friends, and I was friends with him. And he said, "Look, can I bring a friend to the after party?" We went to the concert. It was in Hyde Park, and then afterwards, Mick had his big 70th party at Lulu's. I've gone down there, and there's literally just immediate family and me in a white blazer.
Did you look like a waiter? Or?
No, I didn't look like a waiter, but I definitely stood out.
Just
stood out like a sore thumb, and like really stood out. And I've come outside and phoned my wife up, and I was like, she was at her mum and dad's at the time, and I was like, "I'm really out of place right now. I'm on a white blazer, and there's Mick, Ronnie, and Keith at the bar." And then my wife went to me, "You either got to do two things. You either got to go in there, take two shots of Jaeger or whatever, and fucking get on the dance floor and have it, or just go home."
What did you do?
I went straight to the bar, just took two shots and just danced my ass off all night long.
What did they wear then when they were like just in
know,
leather
yeah, they were just the Rolling Stones, the coolest they always are. But there's me in a white blazer. Do you know what I mean? I look like the guy from Big. I like Tom Hanks out of Big when he turned up in the white towels.
Don Johnson from Miami Vice.
Yeah.
You should have worn your leopard print shirt from, back in the
That-
days.
That would have been a bit
would have
more,
been really
yeah, at least
good.
it would have blended in a bit more. But I still had it all night long and really went for it. But yeah, it's like, there's so many, hairdressers give us. There's also things that, as much as it's give us my business, and we've had so many friendships, there's things like, I've been to the Super Bowl or sports events or parties or here and there. And
the Brits you do with Jack Whitehall and all of that.
There's so many experiences.
Do you pinch yourself sometimes? Do you go like...
Hugely.
Yeah, for me the same. And also I think with hairdressers that what my problem is sometimes you go, I don't know if it's the same for you, you go to a wedding and they always sit me next to the most difficult person because they always go like, oh, you can talk to anyone.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh. So now before I go somewhere, I'm like, please don't do this to me. I'm so over it.
We do end
I
up
don't
making
want
ourselves
to.
the centre of attention.
I move the table card sometimes.
Don't you think
now.
we do make ourselves the centre of attention wherever we are? Because we
And
are
that's
used
more
to
you
just...
than me. I mean, I don't want to be centered. I'm so shy. I just want to blend into the background. I don't want to be centered.
I think of all of my staff, you're the one who makes themselves the centre of attention.
I can't help it. It's just the way it is, Now.
But it's what hairdressers are. It's the court jester. We are that one that brings it out above everyone, and we have live fun, and we create fun.
No, you want to be remembered as well, obviously. Like when I go to a party, I want, obviously.
And maybe
I
that's
don't really
why
care
we do
if
get
people-
invited, and we are we do have great fun.
I think it's important also, but I definitely also still talk to, like, when I go somewhere for dinner, so I always say, like, oh, come into the salon, I do your hair or whatever. I mean, do you get irritated when people ask you what would you do with your hair when you're at a party?
Yeah.
It irritates the hell out of me now. I can't cope with it.
I like inviting people into the salons. I really enjoy that. I really want to get people in salons. Yeah, the question, what would you do with my hair, especially when it comes from someone who's not got a lot of hair, it's just as a bit of a corny joke. It's just like, I've heard that a million times.
Oh yeah, when the guy says, what would you do with my hair? I'm like, just yawn and walk away.
Yeah.
I can't pretend anymore. I'm too old for this shit.
It's like,
but also like,
that joke I've heard
it's
1,000 times.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you can't do nothing for me.
Oh yeah, our Germans got no sense of humor. Ha! How funny am I? I mean, that's like another joke. So many times I heard that. But it's every time, when you go out and people actually say to me, what would you do with my hair? I normally choose to say something very extreme. I would go like, I would give you like a micro fringe or what, micro fringe, right? It's called.
Micro-fringe,
And they go, oh, I don't want that. And I said, here we go,
just
darling.
shave the
So
sides
you're
off.
not going to listen to me anyway, so come into the salon.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I mean, obviously we could chat now for a year, but my last question is actually going to be, what do you hope for the hairdresser industry? What needs to
My
happen?
biggest hope is for the assistants to, for the futures to come back and for the growth of salons to become easier and businesses, small salon businesses all around the country to, succeed and strive, and do better and nurture the youth and the future of hairdressing through.
Yeah.
And as much as I can do that, and whilst also supporting my team, that will be mine and Laura's continuance.
God, I could cry now. That was quite a statement. I like it. So, and I wish you for obviously your global success and your taking over the world actually. And
I'm with you,
don't
mate.
change.
You're with me all the way. So
and that you always
hopefully-
talk more than me. I wanted that on camera, that everybody knows that. Darling, I can't thank you enough. Thank you
for
so
having
much
me.
for coming on. It was an absolute pleasure. And also, obviously, being in your salon in Notting Hill, which is kind of like a home
love you, Andreas.
home
Thank
game,
you
home
for having
run.
me, mate.
All right,
It's
thank you so much.